My name is Calabrese. I'm better known as John. I am the current president of the Italian Catholic Federation of New South Wales, CDC State Committee in Australia. I would like to tell you a little about the FCI and how it has affected me and my family. In 1955, on arriving in Australia, two young Scalabrinian missionaries, Fathers Aldo Raggiola and Luciano Bianchini, were sent to the south coast of New South Wales, Australia. Moved by the spirituality and mission of their founder, Giovanni Battista Scalabrini, they saw the need to help Italian migrants both spiritually and socially. At the time, there was a great need for this, as shiploads of them, after spending over a month on the high seas and not being able to speak a word of English, feeling like lost sheep, most, if not all of them, did not know where or who to turn to for help. So the young priests came up with the idea to form a lay group and organise spiritual and social events. Father Lariogioli's vision was interrupted when in 1959 he was transferred to All Saints Church in Fitzroy, Melbourne. In August of 1960, a third Scalabrinian, Father Giuseppe Molon, was appointed assistant priest in the new Scalabrinian parish. One of the things he was asked to do was to promote and develop a new lay group of migrants. And so, the Federazione Cattolica Italiana was born in Australia. Some of the things that members who could speak English were asked to do were translate at doctors' appointments, lawyers or legal officers, government officers, and help migrants to shop for food, clothes, etc. The FCI soon spread to other parishes around Australia. In order to be able to function legally in Australia, they formed a national committee and developed a constitution, which was approved by the Australian Bishops' Conference and was registered as a social and charitable group. In the 1970s, many youth groups were established throughout Australia. These groups were very popular amongst them because their parents would not let them out of their sights, and these church groups allowed them to not only enhance their spirituality, but they enabled them to socially mix. Many of them found their life partners there. One of them, Susie Munez, became a Scalabrinian missionary who still works in Germany amongst the refugees. I personally became aware of the Scalabrinian Fathers when in October 1964, a family who had migrated to Australia in March of that same year was involved in a car accident in which their eldest daughter was tragically killed and another daughter and a son were badly injured. In 1965, an Italian Scalabrinian priest, Father Giovanni Pagnin, was assigned to DY New South Wales as parish priest. When he heard about this poor Italian migrant family and all the problems that they faced, both spiritually and financially, he came to visit them, offering his help and assistance. A few days later, he returned with a monetary donation to help with their financial struggles. This act of charity has never been forgotten by this family, which I later joined by marrying their eldest living daughter, Angela. In 1998, Angela's parents decided to join the DY FCI and wanted to attend their meetings. We decided to also join the group and soon started going to local and state meetings and various social events. I was touched by the spirituality and comradeship that this seemed to be emanated from everyone present and became more and more involved by joining the working committee. In 2001, Father Giovanni Mello, a Scalabrinian, who was our section chaplain, talked me into running for section president, and I was elected and have been president of DY section ever since. In 2004, after reading an article in the Broken Bow News magazine, a newspaper distributed by our diocese, concerning the sponsorship of refugee individuals and families in Sierra Leone, Africa, which I thought tied in well with the Scalabrinian spirituality and the theme at the recent Sydney Congress, where the plight of refugees was discussed. I had discussions with our chaplain. We decided to sponsor a family of 7 with a donation of $10,000. I contacted the Northern Beaches Refugee Sanctuary, who were and still are involved with helping refugees, and after their director came to our monthly meetings and spoke about the problems the refugees faced, we donated that money. That money was used to bring the family from Sierra Leone and was given to them on the condition that after finding work, they would repay the money back to the refugee group and would be used again and again to help other refugees. These days, the sanctuary group is still active, and at the time of writing this, they had helped 8,160 people from 48 different countries. These tied in well with the spirituality of Giovanni Battista Scalabrini and his involvement in helping migrants. For over 60 years, the Italian Catholic Federation has always considered itself as part of the Scalabrinian family, with many pastoral fruits, great friends in faith, and a generous reach out to needy people, and most especially the support to the Scalabrinian Bursary Fund, aiming to help in the formation of Scalabrinian seminarians in Asia. Behind the actions of the Italian Catholic Federation, there has been our humble faith as baptized migrants, striving to keep our traditions and through them our faith. In doing so, we have transmitted in the best possible way that faith to our children and grandchildren. Being accompanied by the Scalabrinian missionaries, the Scalabrinian spirituality has been one way of nurturing our faith as migrants. We have learned about Scalabrini and the Scalabrinian family. With the process of beatification and canonization, we have learned not only history, but also some important aspects of the spirituality of St. John Baptist Scalabrini as a great inspiration for our personal spiritual journey and for our commitment as missionary disciples. We have reflected on the great love that St. Scalabrini had for God through his reflections on the Eucharist, the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Church, the Holy Eucharist, and the cross of Jesus. In a more personal way, I can testify that these dimensions of the Scalabrinian spirituality have helped me in my spiritual journey and in my service as servant leader of the Italian Catholic Federation. Over the years, and after participating at various congresses, either as a participant or organizer, I have made many good friends throughout Australia. All people who, like me, have been touched by the Scalabrinian spirit of helping migrants, our local church, and migrant community. All FCI sections are similarly committed and organise bus trips, picnics, card and bingo nights, social events, raise funds for our church and various charities, the feasts and Triduum of various saints, Via Crucis during Lent, and live acting of the Passion of Christ. One of the many charities who profits from our fundraising is the Scalabrinian Bursary Fund. For example, our donations were used to build seminaries in the Philippines, the purchase of the land in Vietnam for building a seminary there, and a new seminary in Maumere, Indonesia. I am also responsible for the printing and distribution of the Italian Mass sheets La Messa Festiva, which is distributed throughout Australia for the celebration of the Holy Mass in Italian. I thank and am assisted in this duty by Father Anthony Fregolent and members of various FCI sections. Most of the money raised by this project is donated to the Scalabrini Bursary Fund. To this day, the Italian Catholic Federation has donated close to 2 million Australian dollars. This money has helped many seminarians, and a lot of them have become Scalabrinian priests which will help to spread the work of San Giovanni Battista Scalabrini throughout the world. Allow me to share a bit of each of these dimensions of the Scalabrinian spirituality. As a young migrant in Australia, I always kept my faith, but due to work and family commitments, I was never able to be a regular attendee at Sunday Masses. As my workload decreased, I started attending regular services. Somehow this did not satisfy my spiritual feelings, and I wanted to do more. So I joined the church choir, but this was not enough for me. Something inside me was guiding me to being more faithful to the Sunday Mass, up to the point of becoming an acolyte and an extraordinary minister of the Holy Communion. The active participation in the Holy Eucharist has become my strength and a humble way of serving my parish community. I have been part of the Pastoral Council for many years and part of various committees in the parish, but the greatest privilege is to serve at the altar. I serve at the altar at least 4 times a week, and I pray the Holy Rosary every day. Saint Scalabrini's great devotion to the Holy Eucharist has inspired me to value such a great gift in my life and the life of my family. Indeed, seeking first God and nurturing my faith with the Holy Eucharist has granted me so many blessings. Marian devotions are very important for migrant communities. Some Italian groups have bought statues from Italy and keep great devotions to the different traditions they represent. The great devotion of Saint Scalabrini to the Blessed Virgin Mary is indeed inspiring, because we feel that he understood how important it was for the migrants to keep their faith through traditions and popular piety. In my personal experience, I am involved as a member of the committees of Our Lady of Fatima, Maria Santissima Mamma Nostra, and Our Lady of Assumption. We not only prepare her feast days, but also bring the statue of our mother to the elderly migrants in the Scalabrini villages. I have been moved to tears looking at the elderly migrants being so grateful with the visit of our mother to their rooms, bringing them consolation and healing. Saint Scalabrini is indeed a great inspiration to keep our love for our mother in heaven and to allow her company to guide us. As members of the Italian Catholic Federation, we commit ourselves to serve our local parishes and chaplaincies in the best way we can. We journey with the Scalabrinian missionaries and in some parishes where the Scalabrinians are not present. When we hear the Scalabrinians thanking the Italian Catholic Federation for our contributions to the bursary fund, we feel that we do it because of the love we have for the church and our priests. When young priests come from the seminaries in Asia to our parishes, we feel humble for the contributions we have offered to the Scalabrinian family with our prayers, support in the mission, and the fundraising activities. Indeed, the journey under the inspiration of the Scalabrinian spirituality has helped us to love more the church and her priests. As members of the Italian Catholic Federation attending congresses and spiritual retreats, we have also learned about the sufferings of St. John Baptist Scalabrini. His desire to be intoxicated by the cross of Jesus becomes a great source of inspiration when we also face hindrances along the journey. In a very personal way, in recent years, I have experienced that, facing health challenges with members of my family and members of the ICF. The devotion to the cross has helped me to understand the meaning of love and sacrifice. These expressions of faith have helped us to understand better the spirituality of Scalabrini in our humble experience as migrants, keeping our faith through traditions, helped by the Scalabrinian missionaries and nurtured by the sacraments and devotions. We are not scholars or experts on spirituality. We just keep our faith with humble expressions, and Saint Scalabrini has journeyed with us, inspiring us through his own spirituality and accompanying us through his missionaries. Our presence in this Congress is indeed a great privilege to learn from one another and to continue our spiritual journey. It is indeed our spiritual nourishment that gives us the strength to continue with our humble charitable initiatives and the service to the Church. The mission of Jesus as a church and the Scalabrinian spirituality is rooted in that mission, carried on by the migrants as missionary disciples. The Italian Catholic Federation is a little testimony that this is indeed possible. In October 2022, I was fortunate enough to come to Rome for the canonization of Blessed Giovanni Battista Scalabrini. It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience which I will treasure for the rest of my life, to be part of thousands of pilgrims who watched as Pope Francis bestowed the sainthood on our founder. After the canonization, I was fortunate to tour all the churches and cathedrals where this great man was stationed and lived. This has helped me to know him even better. On the anniversary of San Giovanni Battista Scalabrini sainthood, I have now again had the honor bestowed on me to be selected to return to Rome to share my story with you. Thank you.
Thanks to John Calabrese